Welcome back, friends. In this one is the following assignments. We're going to print the values from an array using a for loop. That's our goal. So let's just do as follows. Let's define our array. So we're going to say int, so that's the data type, brackets to indicate it's an array data type of integers. Give it a name like R. On the right side, let's initialize it. So in this simple case, we'll just put, for example, curly braces, and then the entries within the curly braces like 4, 5, and 10. That's enough, and then terminate with a semicolon. So this declares and sets the variable called R, which is an array variable. Now let's go through it with a for loop. Key observations again. So first index, we've got to know that when it comes to arrays, that's at index 0 right here. The 4, that is at index 0, not 1. Okay, last index. So the indexes go 0, 1, 2. So 2, not 3. Just like back here, the first index is 0. Let me be clear, not 1. These are little things we have to know, because then when you code the loop, look what happens. So for int I equals 0, why? Because 0 is the position of the 4 in the initializer. And then I would be less than or equal to 2, because that's the last index. The 10 is at index 2. And the indexes, of course, grow. So from 4 to 5 is 1 more. And then from 5 to 10 is 1 more in terms of the index. Not the numbers themselves, but the indexes, the locations, the addresses. And then I plus plus for that reason. Now, the next stage is to access each entry and say printed. So we're going to use array access notation, console.writeLine. What's array access notation? You write the name of your array object, like ARR. You put brackets down, and then within the brackets, you place the relevant index. So here, we're going to put I, like this, and then terminate this with a semicolon. So before we do anything else, let's just run this. So debug, start without debugging, Control F5. And this does work in the sense that it prints 4, 5, 10 on the screen in the column. Shut this down, shut this one down. So now let's go to this with the debug step into feature a little bit. Okay, let's see, debug step into F11. All right, now look very carefully. Step into, hit the little arrow, integer, initialize your array. Right now, as you can see, the array is a null. So arrays have a default value of null. Then you initialize it after you've run that line, and now the array stores values. If you expand this, it will tell you that at index 0 you have 4, at index 1 you have 5, at index 2 you have 10 inside the array. Okay, so then you continue. So first we've just run into I equals 0 as always. You initialize the value of I. Variables have to be initialized, right? Whether it's R or I, you initialize your variables. And then you can check the logical condition in the middle. Well, I is 0, so that means the logical condition is true by the less than part. And now you can execute console.writeLine. And you're going to put your mouse over I and then R. So you see, because I is 0 right now, it says it's as if it said R of 0. Oh, R bracket 0 close bracket. But that's just another way of writing 4. That's why that's going to print 4 to the screen. Okay? Which is right here. It's kind of small, but nevertheless, it's on the screen right there, okay? There's a 4 on the screen. Good, let's continue. Now you go to I++, and again, you're going to check the logical condition. It's still true because of the less than part right now, since the current value of I is 1. So that means you're going to run console.writeLine. Again, I has the value 1, so this is R of 1, which is just another way of writing the number 5, essentially. Access that entry, printed, I++. Your mouse over I, well, I is 2, that means the equal to part of the inequality is what works. Hit console.writeLine, I is 2, so we're going to have R of 2, in other words. That's going to access the 10 for you. You print that, and then I++. Now the logical condition is false, because the current value of I is 3, and 3 is not less than or equal to 2. So that means you skip down to the closing curly brace, and you shut down, basically. And that's the execution of the program. The last stage in the process is to make this always a bit more flexible. So in other words, not have to hard code a value in that position, but instead to use a property of the array. So the natural property to use is the length property. I'll talk about that in another video. Please leave a like.